everybody. So, you might have noticed that I'm not scripting this. And the reason I'm not scripting this is because I've decided to try and do something different. Last season, I did it scripted. This season, I'm going to try doing it unscripted for a couple reasons. As I said, I'm not good with scripting. I'm not good with memorizing lines. I'm not good with getting it out. And I just figured that maybe I should try doing these videos not scripted. Eventually I'm going to get a camera. Eventually I'm going to do it in front of the camera, but I don't have a camera yet. So right now you're just going to have to endure me hearing my voice sitting behind sitting in a chair or at a microphone. If this works, I'm going to keep doing it like this. If it doesn't work and I don't get any more traction than I previously did, I'm probably going to go back to doing it scripted. But likely I'm not, just because, as I said, I'm not good with scripting. So we're just going to dive right in because I don't have a lot of time because I'm behind. And I want to get right into it, starting with the two shows that I like most this season. So I'm kind of biased with this one, mostly because if you know me, you know Jun Fukuyama is my favorite seiyuu. So obviously this is going to be at the top of the list for me because I love him and he's amazing, and I have a whole list of stuff I haven't seen him in yet, and I will get to it. And basically the show is just very funny. I like the idea of the vampire hunter gets to the castle, and instead of finding a big powerful vampire, he just finds this really weak, cowardly vampire who faints at every opportunity. It's a really, really, really great concept. The only problem is, like a lot of shows in this genre, it's a one-note joke, and I'm worried that it's gonna run out of steam. So far, we're only one episode in, but so far, it's really good, and it's funny, and I like it, but I'm just worried that it's gonna run out of material very, very quickly, so we're just gonna have to be guarded on this one. I admit, I went into this one thinking that I was gonna hate it. This idea, I read the description and I was like, this is really stupid, another show about little girls fighting monsters, and they use music to do it, of course, because this show hasn't been done before, but it's surprising. I think this first episode was really well composed. No pun intended. I'm shocked that how good this was. And frankly, this is actually one of the best openers I've seen in a long time. It told us what was going on. It succinctly gave us the plot. The characters are likable. Their chemistry is really good. The only thing I have reservations about, and I think it's more of budgetary reasons than anything else, is that all of the action scenes occurred off screen. And, because that flies into a building and everything just blows up, and then she comes back and she's like, oh, I beat the monsters. And I'm like, well, can we see some of that? It's not a good sign, but I think it's, like I said, I think it's more of the fact that, it means that the show's gonna cut corners, and that's not a good thing. But I like the main characters. I think they're fun. I don't really understand between Takuto and because his name is not Tact, it's Takuto. That's his name. I don't know why the translations keep calling him Tact, and actually except it's called Tact Up Destiny. But because of that, I don't know his relationship with Elena. I don't understand it, but I'm sure we'll get at an explanation eventually, and I really look forward to this show, and that shocked the crap out of me. So now we're moving into the shows I'm kind of iffy on. I like the concept of this. There are a couple things that give me pause. First of all, I hate it when shows try to push the I want you to be happy, so I'm going to save you from suicide, and I'm going to prevent you from yourself, even though, that might make you happy, that might be what you want. I don't care what you want. I hate these white knighters who think that people who commit suicide want to be saved. Because some do, mind you, but not everybody who tries to kill themselves wants to be saved. And even the main character says, why did you save me? Why did you talk me off the ledge? Why did you do that? Like, I wanted to die. People who kill themselves want to die. And it really bugs me that these shows keep pushing this concept of, well, you'll be happy if I, talk you down. No, that's not how depression works. And it bothers me that, the show not pushes that, but then the main character suddenly like, oh, well, you talked me down, so now I'm fine. No, you're not fine. That's not how it works, Being depressed doesn't go away just because you're talked off the ledge. I'm sorry. I'm harping on this because it's always bothered me in shows that do this. Other than that, I like it. I think I like the idea. The other thing that kind of gives me pause is that it's written by the same person who wrote Death Note. I like the characters better. I don't find them as obnoxious. Yes, I even found Elle obnoxious. Everybody hates me for it, but I found all the characters in Death Note really grating and like edgy caricatures, and it was really just stupid. But I actually like the characters in this one. It feels a lot like the same idea. The main character is given a power. He meets an angel in this case that can grant him that power, and the angel's just like, oh, this is the rules, and it's basically the same concept as Death Note, which kind of annoys me. You'd think he'd write something different, but I don't hate it. I think the idea of a death game, and you know me, people who know me know I love a good battle royale. Battle royales are one of my favorite things. Mostly death games are one of my favorite things. I love them. So that's a good sign for me. Basically, I'm gonna have to see with this one. There's a lot I like. I like the angel. I like how blunt she can be, but it feels like it's like a copy of Death Note, and I'm just gonna have to see with this one. So my big problem with this show is that the characters are great. The characters are fun. A lot of them give me Yu-Gi-Oh vibes. Like, the main character reminds me of Shark, and I think that's funny because they have the same Seiyu. The girl reminds me of Carly. Like, his braided friend reminds me of Carly. The assassin girl, I like the fact that she's inhabiting, like, she can hop from body to body, which is kind of neat. Like, neat. I think my big problem is that the robot battles themselves are just really, really boring. And I ended up just skipping through most of it because it's like, they're just blowing stuff up, and, they're not actually fighting stuff. They're fighting generic bots. I am curious to meet the rest of the cast. I'm curious because in the episode 1 we actually meet villains, like we actually meet the leader of, I think it was episode 2 because the first 2 episodes came out. We actually meet the leader of the invaders, and that's actually kind of a neat touch that they're not just mindless generic, aliens. They're actually, they actually have personality, which is really nice, because I was kind of worried that they'd just be generic blank monsters, but nope, they're actually should be interesting, because maybe we'll get some good psychopaths out of it. So, I like the characters. I'm hoping that this series will make up for its just really boring monster battles. But we'll see. So my big issue with this show is that it's an issue that before shows in this journey genre. The character goes on a journey and goes through different towns, and that is the fact that there's really no plot. him asking the people who raised him, why won't you tell me anything about where I'm from, which is kind of neat and I'm kind of curious to know about. But other than that, there's really no plot. And it seems like it's going to be one of those shows where it's just like him going from town to town, helping people and meeting people, and it's not interesting to me. I do like the fact that his guardians are undead, and the fact that they're training him for combat, which is kind of cool. Like, he's being trained by a mummy, and he's being taught magic by a lich, and he's being taught spear skills by a skeleton ghoul, which I think is really cool. And if hopefully they do something with that. Unfortunately, like I said, I think this is going to be one of those shows where nothing's really going to happen, and it's unfortunate because the plot because the setting and the idea is really good. I'm worried about this one. So I honestly have no idea what's going on in this show. It feels like there's some kind of like battle of the bands, and it's vampires, and I don't even know. It's not necessarily bad. I actually don't think it's that bad. I'm getting a lot of Diabolik Lovers vibes from this, with like the main character who's stuck in this situation with all of these. You want to tempt him into being, tempt him, and they want him to suck their blood, and he doesn't want to. The other thing I like about this show is the fact that they got people who can actually sing. Like, I'm not crazy about Shoya Chiba as a singer, but everybody else is. They got Makoto Furukawa, and they got Shota Aoi, and they got a bunch of other people who I can't think of necessarily right now, but they actually got people who are good vocally, which is very rare for these kinds of things. Usually there's like one really, really good singer, and then like 6 or 7 really shitty ones. But no, here most of the people in this cast can sing. And not only that, they're actually using songs to introduce the characters, which I think is kind of neat. I like the art. I'm curious to see what happens, but mostly I don't know where this is going plot-wise, and that's mostly what I enjoy about these kind of series. I'm lost with what's going on in this show, but we are only on episode 1, so maybe it'll get better later on. So, the big reason I watched this show is because of the opening, because I was really surprised when I saw who the singer, and I was like, oh my god, this must be an old song, because I didn't think Ellie Project performed anymore. But no, it's a new song, and to tell you the truth, it's not one of their best. I love them. They're amazing, and no matter what they do, they always pump out kick-ass music, but even it's not their best. They've had much better songs. The problem with the show itself is just that it's really, really boring, and that it feels like they said it in an alternate timeline, just hand wave the fact that Irina is a vampire. Which hasn't actually affected the plot at all. Like, you could do this with a normal human being, or like someone with a time travel or an alien, and it would be the literal same plot. So it feels like that route from Code Realize, if anybody remembers, like, oh yeah, I'm a vampire, and it's never brought up again. Like, that really pissed me off and disappointed me, because she's my baby and I love him, but more importantly, that would have been a really, really, really neat thing to explore, but no. The game never brought it up again, and this feels like that. The characters are okay. It's just really boring, and nothing interesting has happened yet. I feel like they're gonna do something interesting with it, but I'm not sure I'm willing to stick around long enough to find out. I was really looking forward to this show because I like the idea, but it's another show about someone running a pharmacy in another world. I don't want another one of these shows. They're not interesting. I don't care about them. I am slightly interested to know what happened in the hero's past to make him get kicked out of the hero's party, but I'm not interested enough to keep watching. It's a card game anime, and I actually kind of like the fact that the cards, the monsters are visually represented, not just Yu-Gi-Oh, not just on the battlefield, but like they look. I have to admit that the actual monsters look really cool. It's a card game, so basically, the rules are simple. It's explained. It's not the greatest thing ever, and it's not as intricate as Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh's game is a lot more interesting because it has more rules and you can do more things with it, but it's not terrible. And I don't really remember very much about the main characters. I do remember that they're all trying to find this tower in it. I'm pretty sure I know why he has amnesia. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but I'm willing to keep watching to find out. I don't know how far I'm gonna get because this might be one of those shows that I get bored with and stop, but so far it's meh, and it's not horrible, so I'll keep watching at least for a little while. To tell you the truth, this does not feel like a Digimon series. Like an okay-ish Supernatural series. Some of them are kind of interesting, like the one about the people having their time stolen, but it doesn't feel like a series. None of the designs are Digimon designs, except Gamamon is kind of cute, I'll admit that. I think the characters are okay. I think they're your generic stereotypes. The main character, the childhood friend. The only thing I'm interested in is the main character finding his dad. But even that, I'm just like, it's another show about, his dad's gonna, he knows about the digital world, okay, whatever. It's not terrible. I've seen much worse, but I'm really disappointed, and frankly, I was hoping for another, series in the digital world, because we need another series in the digital world. So, this show was actually made by the person who made Redo of Healer, which is really weird because this is a lot more tame and a lot less bloody. I really liked Redo of Healer, and I like the fact that this author does very interesting things with her characters, and she's not afraid to go for it. So I'm kind of interested in this. 5 minutes in, I was kind of hooked, mostly because any show that starts its story killing pedophiles is a huge win in my book, because we really need more shows that, just go out of the gate and are like, no, this is not okay, you can't do this to girls, you can't be okay with this. I really would just go for the jugular and stuff like that. I also like the fact that the main character, instead of being just some young buck plucked from his prime, is he already has all this knowledge because he's lived. He knows how things work. He knows, what's going on. You might say it's cheating because, he already knows everything. Well, that's a good thing, especially considering, the big hook for me, though, is the fact that, 5 minutes in, I'm like, it's not going to be another Kill the Demon Lord story. No, he doesn't have to kill the Demon Lord. He has to kill the hero. And I'm like, oh, that's different. That's something I never thought would actually happen. He has to kill the hero? That's actually kind of neat. I really like that, and I hope they actually do something with that. But overall, I think this is a much better show than it probably has any right to be. Again, done by the same author who did Redo of Healer, so your enjoyment is going to be based on how much you enjoyed that story. I absolutely love that show, but it might not. I can understand if this show is not for you either. So I'm sitting through this show and I'm like, it's okay. And I'm like, it's not great. It's kind of boring. And then it gets to the end where it's like, oh, by the way, the battery who popped out is now a girl. And I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of interesting. I don't know. I really, really don't know. It's, on one hand, it's kind of interesting, but on the other hand, this is one of those shows where I'm going to have to wait for public opinion because I just don't know. And now we're moving on to the no-shows. Like the shows, for whatever reason, I'm not going to watch, either because they suck, I'm not interested at all, mostly because they suck. In the case of this show, it's because I think this show would have been much better as a short. It's cute, but it gets very boring very fast, and while I hate to admit this because I know he's deaf, and I know deaf people can't always speak, his loud grunts get very annoying. It just gets very annoying, and especially bad with the fact that everybody around him treats him like garbage, and they're all yelling at him, and they're all belittling him, and they're all just, none of the characters in this show are pleasant, except for the Shadow, which is weird. So I really don't want to watch this show. I might watch one more episode to see if it gets any better, but probably not. I'm not gonna lie, most of what I hated about this show was the fact that the main character is just so obnoxious. Like, the first 5 minutes are just her and her father screaming their names back and forth at each other, and she's like running down the street saying, I don't want to do this. And the entire time I'm just sitting there, every time she says something, it's like, why won't you let me get in the robot? Because you're 9. Why won't let me go on this adventure? Because you're 9. Why won't you let me go out and do this dangerous thing? Because you're 9. Because you're a child. Because your parents, they're supposed to protect you and they're supposed to keep you. And like normally with these shows, I can understand this kind of sentiment because, it's her training, it's her destiny, maybe she was told that this is what she's supposed to do, but no, the main character whose name is really stupid, and I don't remember what it is, but her and her father have really terrible, stupid names. They watch, I think it's her mom or maybe someone she knows to get killed, and then she's still like, oh, I want to do this. Well, you're 9. Like, you're a child. You're too young. Like, if your father went and got killed, then maybe I'd understand. But, it's his job to protect you from making bad choices. It's his job to say, no, you can't, go out and jump off the roof. That's his job. And I don't understand why shows think that having bratty, obnoxious children who are just loud and irritating and are defiant and they're like, why won't you let me do this? Because it bothers me. And the art is okay. It's not great. But mostly what bothers me is the main character, and I don't want to watch her anymore. And speaking of a show with a character I was really, really bothered by, I got 5 minutes into this show, or maybe it was 10. Whatever. I got to the point where I heard the robot, and I was just so irritated by its voice that I was like, no. Like, I can't watch this show with this thing hanging in the background. It reminds me a lot of the Fox thing from Twin Star Exorcist, which is bad because I actually really liked Twin Star Exorcist. But that Fox thing just almost ruined the entire series, and I'm not putting myself through that again. I'm not putting myself through a show just to listen to one thing. It's so irritating, and its voice is so loud. It's sad because the show itself is okay. If it was great, then maybe. But no, the show itself is just kind of okay. It's another, it's another robot show, and it's not that good. So, I'm not doing it again. I'm not putting myself through that show again. No. No, absolutely not. I only watched this show because I was hoping beyond hope that maybe I was wrong. Maybe this show would, like, at least not tell us they were alive until the last few episodes. I was like, well, you know, Lena doesn't know. Maybe the show's gonna pull it at the last minute. Nope. The show immediately ruined that. I'm sorry. I find it very, very aggravating because the whole point of the show is you can't save everybody. There's no way to save everybody, and you don't even want to try. You know, they were destined to die. They were put into this unit because the whole point of it was we're going to die. That's what we're being deployed for. This is our purpose, is to get killed. And I thought it was a very interesting message, and I thought it was a very somber, hard message about, you know, war and how war is tough, and how, you know, you can't save everybody, and how, you know, even if you want to, there's really nothing you can do. But the show had to ruin that. The show had to immediately say, nope, they're alive, they're fine. And what irritates me is, in the background, when they're alive, they're not doing anything. Like, they're not serving a point. They're just kind of sitting around. And it's like, at least the show has the decency to keep Lena in the dark. And I hope they do that long enough that it'll have an impact. Like, I hope maybe that, you know, they'll be alive for a while and then they'll get killed, and then Lena will find out that, you know, oh, you could have done something because they were alive, but now they're not alive anymore. But I don't think it's going to do that because I don't think this show is that, I don't think this show is clever enough to do that. And it infuriates me. But I knew this was going to happen. I don't know how far I'm going to get in this show because I don't know how far I want to get in this show. I might give it a couple more episodes, but I'm probably just going to drop it because I'm just no. I got 5 minutes into this show, and I was so viscerally uncomfortable with it that I literally said fuck it after 5 minutes. The thing about the show is that it's based on a manga, and everybody says the manga is really good, but the first thing that happens in this show is the main character is literally knocked to the ground by the other protagonist. Like, he's visually and physically shoved to the floor. And then what I can only describe is a sexual assault, because he's just, you know, he's jabbed in the stomach and put in this state, which I can only describe as looking like sexual, and it's gross. It's just horrid. And the funny thing is that if he were, it's really, really, really uncomfortable. And I know people who were assaulted. I know people who were raped. And it is extremely uncomfortable for me. And the thing I like is that the characters, I don't even want to talk about what I like, because this show doesn't deserve it. It's so gross and it's so creepy. And it's just, it's making me uncomfortable just to talk about. But the only thing I actually liked about this show was the idea that the ghosts actually looked like ghosts. They weren't just blobs. They weren't just, shades of purple. They were actually human beings who look like people. I think that's really cool. Because in most fiction, in most anime, ghosts are like these purple, like you've seen Ghastly, you've seen the ghost Pokemon. They look like floating black blobs, and it's irritating because, you know, ghosts can be people. They can look like actual people, but I need to stop talking about this because the show is making me physically uncomfortable to talk about, and it's awful. It's so gross, and I can't even talk about it. So that's it for this season's previews. For those of you who are wondering about Demon Slayer, I am waiting because Demon Slayer's first 7 episodes, or maybe it's 9, I think it's 7. Its first set of episodes are basically just Mugen Train, and for those of you who know me, you know I've already seen Mugen Train. It was decent. It had the same problems the series had. It had a great demon, but it dragged on, and it had a lot on, and it had a very long middle. Also, Rengoku scared me for personal reasons. Reasons I might go into at a later date, but he scared the crap out of me, and his weird bug eyes were creepy. And I also thought that we didn't get enough time with him as a character in order to enjoy him. And yeah, his death was kind of sad, but it would have been sadder if we'd actually known him as a person. There's also Kaginato, which is the key shorts. They're cute, but mostly you'll only enjoy them if you've seen Ki, if you know what Ki is. One of the characters I had to actually look up because I didn't know who he was. It's cute, but you know, you'll enjoy it more if you've played Ki's, either watch their anime or play the original also. I really like it. I think it's adorable, but I would not recommend it unless you're a hardcore Ki fan. And that's it, and I'll see you next week.